I have created two automations to check for which keywords am I ranking in my target countries. And there's also an automation that is able to find out for which keyword types I am ranking for. So for instance, here's an example of the output that has been generated by this workflow. And as you can see, we do have the URL, so which page is it, the keyword, or in other words, also the query, the keyword type, is it navigational, commercial, transactional, or informational? And next to it, we have also the metrics for total impressions, total clicks, average position, as well as for the click-through rate. And as I mentioned, it's able to perform this analysis based on a country. So here we have the USA, Netherlands, and Germany. And you could also do the same in the Google Search Console, but this task would be quite repetitive and also time consuming. So let me quickly show you how it would like if you do it manually. The first step is to select the date range, and then you would go over to pages. So for instance, this page, and I can click on it. So we have another filter. And let's say I want to analyze in which countries am I ranking for the keyword Google Search Console n8n. Then I would click on it so that I have set another filter. And then I could go to countries, and then I can see the average position, click-through rate, clicks, and also impressions. And if you want to set some thresholds, then you could also do it here. Here are the filters for it, but as you might have noticed, this part is really time consuming. And if you have to do it for multiple websites, then even more. So this is also the main reason why it makes sense to automate such a process. And both workflows, so this as well as this one, do have the same logic, except that we here don't include the part where we analyze the keyword types, like we do it in this case. And the structure of this workflow is quite simple. The first step is to get data from a Google spreadsheet, which includes the information about the domains and also for every domain, the list of countries you want to analyze as well as the thresholds. So in this case, this configuration shows me that I am going to analyze the country USA, Netherlands, Germany. Our target language is English, and we have also the thresholds for impression, clicks, and the position. These values are important for the underlying SQL query which will be executed. And once we have this data, we start to loop over every domain. So that means also this workflow is able to run automatically for multiple domains. The only thing that is required is to add here another row with the domain as well as with the value for the BigQuery table name. And in order to be able to get also the configuration for the domain itself, it's important that the sheet name is equal to the value in the domain column. Once we have the domain, we start to loop over them, create a specific spreadsheet for the domain. So in this case, I have used this automation for marvomatic.com. So here we have a new spreadsheet called keyword type analysis, followed by the date and then by the domain name. The next step is to get all the countries you want to analyze. So in this case, we have the USA, Netherlands, and Germany. And once we have the spreadsheet created, as well as a list of the countries, we merge the data because this data is required for the upcoming sub-workflow. And the sub-workflow starts with another loop, which will loop over every country. And then it also takes care of translating common identifiers for the different keyword types into the target language. So for instance, this is right now in English. And the only task here is to take the input keywords for the keyword type informational, navigational, commercial, and transactional, and translate all the parts that are separated by the pipe. And the desired output is also defined in a structured output parser, because if we are missing any of these keys, that means we won't be able to figure out which keyword type might fit to the query. So as an example, if we go into the execution of the sub workflow, then we can see that the output from this node is, as I mentioned, a JSON with a key for one of the common keyword types. And these strings are really important because after the creation of the country sheet, the SQL query with the identifiers for the keyword types, BigQuery table name, as well as with the thresholds will be executed. So here we can see it's a table that is defined in the Google spreadsheet. We have the thresholds and we have also the string for identifying the keyword types separated by a pipe in order to be able to execute the regular expression. And once the query is executed, we will get for every keyword an item in an array, which includes the page, keyword, keyword type, total impressions, clicks, position, and the click-through rate. And this data will be saved into the country sheet, which was created here. And the output will be a proper structured spreadsheet for every country, which will help you to analyze for what kind of keyword types are your pages ranking for. And you could also go a step further by adding here a filter in Google Sheets. So for instance, let me do it quickly. So we set a filter here, and then I could search for a specific page or also search for a substring. For instance, if I want to try to understand for what kind of keywords are my products ranking. Then I could just set a filter which contains, or like this. And then I would be able to understand if my page content is targeting the right keyword types, or in other words, search intent, which is an indicator for me if I'm doing something right or if I have to update my content. And if we compare it with the first workflow, then the only difference is that we don't have here the search intent analysis, which has the advantage that this workflow has less dependencies and is also cheaper than using an external API to translate a prompt. And if we are already talking about costs, then I can tell you that this is quite cheap because BigQuery offers a free tier, which is I think 1 terabyte per month. But also the workflow with the search intent analysis is quite cheap because I am using the GPT-4.1 mini model. And as you can see, the input and also output tokens are not a lot. So this translation costs only a fraction of a cent, but it's definitely better than going to the search console, work with regular expression, set all the filters by hand, and then do this workflow over and over for every domain. In case you do have any questions regarding the workflow, feel free to add them to the comments. And that's it for the video. We will hear each other in the next video.